Welcome to our Mothers Out Front Massachusetts Climate Action Call. Since we have many new faces here today, let's go ahead and introduce ourselves in the chat. You can share your name, where you're calling in from, and which organization you're with. And you can also rename yourself in the Zoom window. So I'm Diane Sokol. I'm a member of the Brookline chapter, and I also work with the statewide campaign team. For those of you who may not be familiar with these Mothers Out Front climate action calls, in the next 45 minutes, you will learn about a specific climate issue, and we will take focused action together. Today, we will be learning about the health impacts of gas stoves and how to improve the air quality in kitchens with gas stoves. So here's a quick preview of the agenda for our climate action call today. We'll start with a brief overview of today's focus. Then we'll divide into breakout rooms for a few minutes so we can connect with each other on today's topic. We will rejoin the main room and hear the background information, and then we'll move on to our action. We've set aside about 10 to 15 minutes of this call to take action together. We'll then come back together for a few important announcements and next steps, and we will end this meeting promptly at 12:45. We do hope you'll stay to the end. So before we get going, I'll quickly go over those Zoom norms for the meeting. Please rename yourself with your city and town. You can use the chat to share comments or questions during the call. Please be sure to stay muted when we're together in the main room. Closed captioning is available, and you should be able to access that tool at the bottom of the screen. And finally, we are recording this climate action call. If you do not want to be seen in the recording, please use the Zoom controls to turn off your video. So today's focus on gas in the kitchen is a subject at the intersection of health, climate, housing, and equity. Cooking is at the heart of many of our family experiences, and for many of us, the kitchen is a place where we gather and connect with the people we love. But for over 1/3 of all Americans, our kitchen is also home to a gas stove, an appliance that burns fossil fuels. For decades, gas stoves have been marketed as an essential tool for serious home cooks. Many of us grew up in a home with a gas stove, and many of us still cook on gas stoves today. Most people with gas stoves are already aware of the fire and carbon monoxide hazards associated with these appliances. Many people who are concerned about climate change also know that gas stoves create climate-damaging greenhouse gas emissions. What many people may not be aware of is that gas stoves create indoor air pollution that can have real health impacts on our families, especially the children in our lives. So just to be clear, we're not here today to shame you for cooking on a gas stove. And we're also not going to say that the solution to this problem is for everyone to run out and buy a new stove. Today, we want to arm you with the facts about gas stoves and the indoor air pollution they create and the health impacts of these pollutants in the home. We will also share some very practical no-cost and low-cost tips to help minimize the health risk when you do cook on a gas stove. And in our action together, we will be sharing this information with apartment landlords and property managers to encourage them to improve the conditions for their renters. But first, we're going to give you a few minutes to connect in a small group with other participants to talk about your cooking experiences on different types of stoves. This could include gas stoves, traditional electric stoves, or newer induction stoves. What did you like about the appliance? What were your concerns, whether that was about safety or ease of cooking? Deb will put this question in the chat. Thanks. When we go into these breakout rooms, briefly introduce yourself and be sure that each person gets a chance to speak. When you see the 15-second countdown, use that time to wrap up your conversations, and you will automatically rejoin the main room. Have a great time connecting. We'll see you in about 5 minutes. Welcome back. I hope that you had some good discussions about stoves and cooking. Today, we welcome as our special guest speaker, Andy Krasner. Andy is a longtime volunteer with Mothers Out Front Jamaica Plain chapter in Boston and is a mom to 2 teenagers who were raised with a gas stove in the house. Andy is a public health consultant, and she's working on improving air quality and slowing climate change. She is the co-author of the 2019 Rocky Mountain Institute report on the health impacts of gas stoves, and also a co-author of the American Public Health Association gas stove policy. So great to have an expert in our Mothers Out Front Massachusetts midst. Thank you, Andy, for being with us today, and I will hand the presentation over to you.
Thanks, Diane, and welcome everyone to the action call. I just want to thank you for taking the time in the middle of your day to be here with us. And I also want to just do a quick shout out. Dr. Steve Jones is on this call, and he has been a champion for making sure that people know about gas stove pollution and the health effects on kids. So thanks for joining us. I hope you guys had fruitful discussions about your experience in cooking. In your discussions of cooking, I'm sure you thought about the times that you have with your family. I know I had a gas stove for a decade, and I have wonderful memories of cooking pancakes with my kids and baking cookies and all of that. But there's actually another reason that you have a very positive impression of your gas stove, and it's a result of decades of positive advertising for natural gas. On the picture on the left, Enbridge states that they are powering the quality of your life, and they show somebody cooking on a gas stove. What they don't talk about is that there is a lot of pollution coming from that gas stove. Just like tobacco companies spent millions of dollars convincing Americans that cigarettes were not a health hazard, gas companies and utilities have spent millions of dollars advertising that natural gas is clean and green, always failing to mention that it is a source of pollution indoors and outdoors. The articles on the right and left talk about how utilities avoided the gas stove regulation since the 1980s and how pollution issues are always sidestepped. When you are burning gas, it emits pollutants. That's just the law of physics. And the laws of biology is that it's unhealthy. And now we have that the Massachusetts Medical Society, the American Medical Association, and the American Public Health Association all recognize that the pollution that we're getting from our gas stoves is at levels that harms children's health. So when you cook with either an electric stove or a gas stove, you are going to get particulate matter. Particulate matter are those little particles that form, and how much particulate matter totally depends on what you are cooking. So if you're cooking oil and meats, you're going to see all those little particulate matter. And if you are boiling water, you're not going to see any. But when you cook with a gas stove, you get a potpourri of other pollutants. Among them are nitrogen dioxide, which is likely causal of asthma and definitely causes asthma exacerbations. Carbon monoxide, which at low levels can cause you to feel dizzy or headachy, and at high levels is deadly. And volatile organic compounds like benzene and formaldehyde, both of which are known to cause cancer. The gas we cook on today is just not the same gas your parents or grandparents used. Since the early 2000s, it's mostly fracked gas. And now those chemicals that they use in the fracking don't stay at the well site. They come with us all the way into our home. And you know who's most susceptible to the pollution that's coming into our kitchens with that gas? Our children. And children just are more susceptible because they're more active than we are. They have developing lungs and immune systems. They breathe faster than us. They're basically like the canary in the coal mine. And we know that having a gas stove in the house increases the risk of asthma in children by 42%. But we also know from other studies and other indoor settings, nitrogen dioxide is bad for our health for other reasons. When you see nitrogen dioxide concentrations is higher in office settings, adults have trouble concentrating. And when kids are exposed to nitrogen dioxide on diesel buses on their way to school, they have lower test scores. So nitrogen dioxide is just not something you want to have too much exposure to. Gas stoves and cigarettes have a similar history. Initially, we thought secondhand smoke wasn't that big of a deal, and then we realized that it was harming our kids. And the same is true for a gas stove. And the reason for that is that they have very similar pollutants, including benzene. So the health risks of using a gas stove without proper ventilation are very similar to having a smoker in the house. The great news for everyone here is that if you remove the gas stove from homes, people are healthier. And we know this because in Ecuador, they actually have a national program to replace all their gas stoves with induction stoves. And what they found is that they have a 2% decrease in hospitalizations. And the reason that's important is because hospitalizations are like the tip of an iceberg. So next, you have emergency room visits, and then you have a relatively healthy population that's not coming to the hospital for any reason, but are sick from the gas stove. So having a 2% decrease in hospitalization is quite significant. In Massachusetts, about half of us have a gas stove in our kitchens. But I just want to say that it does not have to be this way. In 1965, before people understood the health impacts of smoking, 50% of men and 42% of adults smoked. Now it's at 11%. So we can learn from science and change. We can choose our own adventure, right? We read those books to our kids all the time. So when I think about a gas stove, because I've been learning about the pollution for a long time, I think about it, the pollution coming from it and the health impacts. But there was also a new study that came out that shows that even when our gas stoves are not turned on, methane, which is a very potent greenhouse gas, is leaking from the stoves even when they're turned off. And benzene, which is a carcinogen, it causes cancer, is also leaking with it. And it's estimated that the gas stoves from across the country, those leaks are equivalent to about 500,000 cars on the road. I know that this information can seem a little bit alarming, but just so you know, 40 million Americans cook on gas stoves, and the public is just learning about the health risks related to air quality. Like I said, the same thing happened with secondhand smoke. We began to learn about it, we began to change. But in part, this is because the fossil fuel industry has just been masterful in marketing natural gas as a clean fuel and a safe product. On a positive note, we can take action to protect our families from harm, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit of how we can reduce the pollution in our homes, even if we are cooking on a gas stove. And by sharing information we learn with friends and family, we can help change the public perception and the narrative that gas is clean. So the first thing that you should think about, this is not going to reduce population or pollution in your kitchen, but it's really important to have a carbon monoxide detector in working order, no matter whether you have a gas stove or any type of gas in your home, because you can get dangerous levels of carbon monoxide when you have gas in your home. So definitely have a carbon monoxide detector. To reduce pollution, it's great to have good ventilation. And to have good ventilation, that exhaust fan has to exhaust to the outdoors. Otherwise, it's just recirculating. And I actually had to learn this the hard way. I thought I had a vent. And I looked, it went to nowhere except for my kitchen. So it was just recirculating. So you have to take a look to see if you're ventilating outdoors. If it vents to the outdoors, the best place to cook is on those back burners. And if you've got a recirculating vent like I do, you want to open a window or use a filtration machine to reduce that pollution instead. You can reduce harmful pollution by just using the gas stove less. And these are some ideas for electric appliances that you can use instead. There's a microwave or a toaster oven, a kettle. And if you use these instead of the gas stove, you're going to be reducing the pollution in your kitchen. You can find these very inexpensively at local thrift shops, yard sales, or Craigslist. Another option is a portable induction cook plate. And the nice thing about these is that they just plug into any old outlet and they can sit on your counter and you can take them off the counter when you're not using them. They are fast, they're responsive, they're very energy efficient, and they come in single or double models. My parents-in-law actually have a beautiful 6 burner gas stove. And they cook on a double induction stove because 95% of their cooking needs are met with those two burners from the induction burners. Or you can think about replacing your entire stove when you're ready. Okay, now I'm going to switch gears a little bit and we are going to talk about induction stoves, how they work, and why they are safe. So when the induction stove is turned on, it creates a magnetic field that only works on a pan that can hold a magnet. When that magnetic field hits the pan, it creates friction and causes only that pan to heat. So because it's very specific to the pan, there's very little heat lost to the environment. So if you're cooking in the summer, you're very happy about this because you're not heating up your whole kitchen. And just to understand this, like if you rub your hands together, you feel that friction, you know that the heat that you're creating is very specific to your palms, right? You're not feeling it on your arms or anywhere else. And the same thing is true for the induction stove. These are just some kinds of pans that, hold a magnet and that you can use on an induction stove. So there's newer stainless steel clad cookware, as seen on the right, or cast iron on the left. Aluminum and copper cookware usually will not work. And if you're looking for it and you're buying new cookware, there's usually like a little sign that says it's induction compatible, as you see in the red circle. This is a photo of me boiling water on my induction stove. You can see that my hand is touching right next to the pan. That's because the stove itself is not hot at all, which is great if you're cooking with kids and teenagers because you don't have to worry about them burning themselves. And then the other thing that it's really easy cleanup. Some people who are cooking with a lot of oil will just put a cloth underneath. The oil spits on the cloth. It doesn't even get on the stove, and you just throw that cloth into the wash because it's just very easy cleanup, and it won't burn the cloth at all. I often get asked if induction stoves are safe. And if you take a look at this, on the left-hand side, the sort of greenish side, that it says non-ionizing. On the right-hand side, it says ionizing. So the induction range is on the non-ionizing side, like radio waves and our cell phone waves. And the reason that's important is because non-ionizing waves means that they don't harm our cells or DNA like the X-rays or gamma rays. For anybody out there who has a pacemaker or an insulin pump, there are just a handful of studies that look to see if the induction waves interfere with the pacemaker insulin pump. And the studies are mixed because the pacemakers and insulin pumps are made differently. So if you have one of these things, you really need to check with your physician to see if that works. If you're concerned at all about it, you can always buy a glass top electric stove. They're healthier than a gas stove. They're just not as precise as an induction stove. If you or your landlord or neighbor or colleague is thinking about switching from a gas stove or cooktop to an electric induction model, this is the perfect time to take advantage of available incentives. Mass Save offers a $500 rebate for induction cooktop or an induction range. But here's the thing, you need to talk to Mass Save before you do it because they have to verify that you have a gas or propane stove first before they will issue that rebate for an induction cooktop or stove. And the stove that you select has to be Energy Star certified. Deb's going to put a link into the chat for that rebate. And there's also another link that she's going to put in that is in Massachusetts that will help you find all of the credits, tax credits, and rebates that are available just for electric appliances in general. And I do want to say that there is just a couple of additional costs that you need to think about. You do have to have a plumber cap the gas stove, and you need to have an electrician add a 220-volt plug if you don't already have one. Those are a larger electric plug than the 110s that you're used to seeing in your kitchen. So those are just a couple of extra costs to keep in mind. So spreading the truth is important because the fossil fuel industry has been manipulating and misleading the public. They target new customers with ads like this one promoting gas cooking, showing this really happy young woman in a brand new kitchen with a great big gas stove. There's no pollution showing. So we need to stand up against the gas utilities and change the narrative about gas cooking. Gas cooking causes climate change, it increases air pollution, it damages the health of our children. So thank you everyone for your attention and for taking action today.
Thank you, Andy. That was really great. And now it's time to take action together. And we will be sharing a link to our action toolkit that we've prepared. But first, I just quickly want to describe the action. Oh, sorry. There we go. So today our actions will be focusing on ways to make sure that people who rent apartments with gas stoves are also protected from the health impacts that we learned about. For the first action, we will be emailing the Massachusetts Apartment Association. This is a statewide group of landlords and property managers. We will be asking the association to educate their members about the health impacts of gas stoves, and Mothers Out Front can actually assist them with that. For the second action, we provide suggestions of different ways to test out a portable induction cook plate as a way to reduce the use of gas in your home or your neighbors' homes. And our bonus action is to share this info about the health impacts of gas stoves with any landlords or property managers in your community. So we've prepared an action toolkit, and Deb will drop that link in the chat. When you click on the link, you will see these instructions on the left for action number 1. It's pretty simple. Just open up a new email on your computer, copy the text from the toolkit that's shown on the right, paste it into that new email. We give you the email addresses to use and the subject line. Where the info is highlighted in yellow, that's where we want you to just add 1 or 2 sentences of your own and then delete all of the info highlighted in yellow. And again, at the bottom, be sure to add your name, city or town, and delete that yellow part also. For action 2, we provide these suggestions of no-cost and low-cost ways to test out portable induction cook plates, including several library loan programs like the one pictured here on the right. We ask you to share this information with your networks and maybe even try it yourself. And you can share your personal experiences about testing out induction cooking. And finally, the bonus action asks you to connect with any landlords you may know, and we've provided a modified version of that email that you wrote in action 1. So Deb will drop that link again. And we're all going to be quiet for the next few minutes so we can take these actions together. If you have questions, you can drop them in the chat. If you're really struggling, don't worry, because you'll get all these instructions by email later today. And we'll see you back at around 12:40, maybe a little bit after 12:30. Thanks. Out here today, many of us in Massachusetts are feeling now more than ever, it's important to accomplish change at the state and local level. We can build real relationships, not only with our elected leaders, but also with statewide organizations and local businesses. We can highlight a climate issue and offer to help with a solution. We build trust and mutual respect by extending our connections to new organizations. And reaching out like this will help create the momentum that can drive change, not just here, but all across the country. So as I mentioned, later today or tomorrow, you will receive a follow-up email. It will have links to a recording of this call, the slides, and the toolkit that we shared today. We encourage you to review anything that you may have missed and also to forward that email to your network. Tell your friends and neighbors about what you learned today about the health impacts of gas stoves and ways that we can improve the air quality inside our homes. So Mothers Out Front hosts a welcome call every month. If you've asked yourself, what more could I be doing to stop climate change? Then this is the right event for you. We will work to help you identify the U-shaped hole in this movement and find ways to use your unique talents, skills, and experiences to build a stronger and more effective movement for change. So we have one coming up on Friday, June 13th at 12 noon. And Deb will put that RSVP link in the chat. You can join us and bring a friend. So shirt up and show up. There's an opportunity tomorrow. If you are planning on coming to the State House, either take a screenshot or take a photo of this slide or look at it again later because it's turned into a very complicated schedule. So we'll meet at the State House at 12:30 in the Nurses Hall to rally with other organizations. At 1 p.m., we go to room 222 for a legislative briefing on two of Mothers Out Front's priority bills, the Tactical Transition and Municipal Voices bills. Then at 2 p.m., we will go to a hearing room, A2, to support two of these bills. It's the Municipal Voices bill and then another bill prohibiting the use of ratepayer funds for utility lobbying. So it's a busy schedule. We hope you can join for some of the afternoon at the State House. And finally, we want this climate action call to be on your calendar every month. Deb, will you drop this final info into the chat? Our next climate action call will be on Tuesday, July 8th. We've moved it to the second Tuesday of the month to avoid the holiday week. And we will be focusing on heat resilience and the impacts of our increasingly warm climate during the summer. This is an important summer topic, and it will be great if you can be there. So you can also watch your emails for the RSVP link once that's set up. So thank you again to our guest speaker, Andy Krasner. Great presentation, lots of information there. And many thanks to all of you for joining Interaction today. Hope to see many of you again on July 8th at noontime.